What's up, everyone? It's time for This Day in Philly Sports History for October 27th, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Sunday game edition of the podcast. Eagles, Bengals, 1 o'clock today. More on that in a minute. But let's start with some quick housekeeping notes. First, follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mont at Twitter and TikTok. On Instagram, at PhillyJimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont. Like it. Leave a comment, all that other good stuff gets you in. And then spread the word. Like I've been saying, if you're enjoying this, likely someone else in your circle will as well. So let's continue to grow this thing and outsmart the algorithm. Check out my boys over at the Clashing Conferences podcast, doing great things over there. Good day to listen to the football episode. New baseball episode dropped as well. They're slowly wrapping up the baseball one. Next week is their end of season sort of spectacular. From what I'm hearing, it's going to be a fun show. Lots of cool surprises, lots of good things going on. So be sure to check that out. Football drops on Thursday. Baseball drops on Friday. And that is available wherever you get your podcasts as well as on YouTube. And then go to Philly Goat. It's a good day to get one of those coolers from Varsity Cooler. They partner with them. These things are amazing. Like I said, I want to get the backpack one for the pool. It's good for your tailgates. Summertime barbecue. I know it's cold out right now, but all of it is nice. And then pick up some good gear as well. Be sure to use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com. Promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off of your order. So I had a busy day yesterday we had soccer pictures and then soccer games. So it was back and forth, running around, doing a lot of things. But I was able to catch some of the Flyers game within the madness. I caught most of the first period. And man, did they come out on fire, scoring 2 goals within the first 5 minutes. Sean Couturier ended up with a hat trick as well as 2 assists. So a monster game for him. He went over 500 points for his career with the Flyers. Only the 16th Flyer, according to Jim Jackson, that has ever done that. So congrats to Coots. What a game, though, for the Flyers. They kept battling. 7-5 they won against a good Minnesota Wild team. So this is, like I said, the second half of that Capitals game the other day, the energy was different, and they were able to carry that over and beat a good team at home. As I mentioned, Couturier with the hat trick and 2 assists. Mishkov with a goal and assist. He has 9 points in his first 8 games as a Flyer. Likely going to set their record for points by a teenager in his first season. I think it was, he passed Eric Lindros, and I forget who is next up on the list, but what a start for Mishkov. He's coming in as advertised. Mishkov Mania was running wild in South Philly, and I think it's more than just his scoring. It's just his ice awareness and being able to see and make some of those passes. Travis Konechny had 4 assists yesterday. Ton of energy for this team yesterday. It would have been very easy when Minnesota battled back, was kind of following along at the soccer field, came back and tied it. Flyers would go up. They came back and tied it again. Just a back and forth game, but they did not give up. And kudos to the crowd as well, who has been the energy in the building has not been good, and that really has coincided with the play of the team. But lots of energy in the building. They got off to the fast starts. Let's see if they can keep it rolling here tonight against Montreal down at the center. Sixers are in action today, 3:30 against the Pacers. No Joe, no PG. But I will say, in my running around of errands yesterday, Keith Pompey was on one of the show. I think it was Rod Cherry and Mike Silsky. And they asked him about some of the things. And he really blames it on the Olympics. And he brought up a lot of good points. The article is actually in the Inquirer today. I read it, and it really reinforced a lot of what he was saying. It was more that Joe kind of put his selfish own goals ahead of the team goals, because had he sat out and didn't play in the Olympics, he'd be ready to play right now. And he brought up some good points, because a lot of people are comparing this, maybe because it's a star player, maybe because Nick Nurse was the coach of both teams. I don't know. There are a lot of similarities between this team and the 2019 Raptors, the one that beat the Sixers on Kawhi's 5-bounce shot. And a lot of people are saying, oh, well, it worked out well for them, and this is what they're going to do with Joe. And he was like, yeah, but that team was a little bit more talented and they got a little bit lucky as well. I mean, in all reality, they should have lost that series to the Sixers. And then, and this is straight out of Keith Pompey's mouth. I cannot take credit for any of these stats and the information. But Keith does a good job writing about the Sixers. But he also said, and I forgot about this, that in the NBA Finals, the Warriors had 2 injuries that also kind of helped. So he said, you're going to need some luck. And for me, the biggest point that he made was that, and it's true, Joe doesn't necessarily have, I forget how he worded it, but the injuries aren't necessarily like, I don't want to say real injuries, but that's the word I keep coming up with. A lot of them are like freak injuries, like fracturing your orbital bone, getting jumped on when you're going after a loose ball, like dirty plays like that. And those are going to happen no matter what. I mean, you could set him out 82 games, first game in the playoffs, he gets one of those freak injuries. So he was really on the side that it was not fair to fans and things like that. And I don't necessarily disagree with him on that. I just feel that if he's going to miss whatever amount of games and you can manage those games, yes, there's always going to be a freak injury or a chance for a freak injury. But I think I would do it. But kind of put things into perspective. And if you can, read the article in the Inquirer today, because they're not really the same team. And everybody keeps going back to that Raptors team. But we'll see what happens. Don't know if he'll be back next week once they come back home. But Sixers Pacers today. And bottom line is the Sixers need to play better. They need to shoot better. They need to rebound better, because that Pacers team is going to come in pissed off that they got blown out by the Knicks. But Sixers Pacers today at 3:30. All right, it is Eagles game day. So let's get into the Eagles game day. Let's start with a recap of yesterday's question of the day. I asked you, who needs to play better, Jalen Hurts or the defense? 59% of you said Jalen Hurts, and I don't disagree with that. And I'll get more into that with the keys to the game. But thank you, as always, for participating in the question of the day. It's Eagles game day, so the question of the day later in the show will be, what are your predictions for the game? All right, so this spread currently, right before I taped this, was 2.5. The over-under was 47.5. It does look like I have not heard official word yet on T. Higgins, but we know that the Eagles are going to be without Mekhi Becton. Obviously, they're out without Mailata and Goddard. So Fred Johnson's going to play a huge role in this game, like it or not. By the way, on the T. Higgins thing, I just looked it up real quick on ESPN. According to ESPN, they're pessimistic about it. So that would be a huge boost to the Eagles there. Not that we're wishing injuries on anybody. We're not New York fans. But bottom line, this is a huge game. A very, very huge game for the Eagles and the Bengals, for that matter. I mentioned earlier in the week, they're like carbon copies of the same team, just in different conferences. They have wins over similar teams. They've struggled at points. And this is going to go a long way in letting us know, really, the rest of the season. And are the Eagles really back? Was it just beating up on the Giants and the Browns? And it'll also go a long way in determining if the defense has turned the corner. I think that is going to be key. Like, it's one thing to put up numbers against Deshaun Watson and Daniel Jones. It's another against Joe Burrow. And then, of course, Jalen has been pretty good with not turning the ball over. I gave you the stat the other day that they have a ridiculously good winning percentage when he doesn't turn the ball over. But those are the two big... Oh, my goodness. Excuse me. I felt that coming. Usually I can fight them off, but I apologize. Excuse me. But both of those, and that's why I asked the question yesterday, the defense and Jalen Hurts, those two are the key to the game. So let's get right into the keys of the game. Again, if anybody wants to sponsor this, a car dealership, KeyBank, somebody, I think it's a good deal for everyone involved. But Jalen Hurts is the first key. The Bengals have the 22nd ranked defense. They're better against the run or pass than they are the run, but they're going to key on Saquon. And if that means they're going to put 7-8 guys in the box to try to stop him, Then it's going to fall on Jalen, and it's going to be his time to shine. Use the middle of the field, especially if they're going to put 7-8 guys in the box. It's going to be there, whether it's Grant Calcaterra, whether it's, remember this guy, Jahan Dotson. Maybe use him a little bit. Hit Smitty, AJ, do some just little short crossing routes, something. It's going to be there because they are going to be so focused on stopping Saquon. It's going to fall on Jalen. And he does need to get them off to a fast start and help the defense out. And a little key thing, and it's the way that Jalen's mind works. Joe Burrow was the first pick in the 2020 draft, the same draft that Jalen went in the second round. I know they battled in college for some Heismans and even on the field. So Joe got the better of Jalen in college, and Jalen has that sort of, if he can just put it together, he has a very similar work ethic and mindset of guys like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Tiger Woods, those guys that like use things like that for motivation. Use that as motivation today, Jalen. Use the whole Joe Burrow, Heisman, college career thing. Use that to your advantage today. But today is your time to shine, Jalen, and let's go. Like, this is, you need to help your defense out here, and why not? Like, you're going to have your opportunities because of them keying on Saquon, so use it. Get them off to a fast start. That leads us into the second key to the game, and I'm going to say this every week until they actually score a first quarter point. Get off to a fast start. You need to score in the first quarter. It's the scripted plays. Like, maybe they need to script a couple more and have, like, if this happens, like a choose your adventure book. If this happens on the first play, we do this. If this happens, we go here. I don't know what it is, but they need to get off to a fast start, score first quarter points, because if they don't score in the first quarter today, it could be a long day with the way the Bengals offense is. And if they're quiet, I don't know. Again, you have to help your defense out. They've been playing well. They bailed you out against Cleveland. They bailed you out against the Giants for the most part. So you need to help them out. And this is going to be a key until it's no longer an issue, but they need to score in the first quarter. And then finally, the final key to the game for the defense, play your game. Don't push and don't press. A lot of things have been going well. I think they've working through some things in the Cleveland game, in the Giants game. Burrow's going to get his. The Bengals offense is going to get his. Don't get down. Play within yourself. Play your game. And this is more directed toward Jalen Carter. Don't get frustrated early. Stay within yourself. Play your game. Do your jobs. Joe Burrow can turn the ball over. So continue to try to get pressure on him. And everybody talks about how great Joe Burrow is. Here's a stat for you. And everybody's like, oh, Joe Burrow doesn't turn the ball over. Well, I'm not so sure. He has 50 turnovers in 59 games. And, you know, he came in the league the same year as Jalen Hurts, and he's had some injuries. Jalen Hurts has 52 turnovers in his career in 68 games. So don't tell me Joe Burrow won't turn the ball over. That's why getting pressure, staying within yourself is going to be key to this defense today. I think the young secondary, I think these guys have a coming out party. I think I think they're going to play well, especially if T. Higgins doesn't play. I'm excited to see Quinyon Mitchell versus Jamar Chase, Quinyon Mitchell versus T. Higgins if he plays. I really think this is a good spot for them to have sort of a coming out party. All right. So with that being said, what about the pick? Eagles are getting 2.5. Bengals have not won at home yet this year. They're 0-3. The Eagles have never won in Cincinnati. They haven't beaten Cincinnati since 2000. At some point, this team is going to come together. I know I said it all through last year, but this is different. This is a different scheme or regime. This is the defense buying into Vic Fangio's system, getting his things down. At some point, it's going to come together. At some point, Jalen Hurts is going to play, or at least have a game, maybe not consistently, have a game like he did back in 2022. This is the perfect spot for it. And I know all the numbers are saying this is Cincinnati all day. I can't go that way. I'm taking the Eagles plus the points today. I think you're going to see Jalen Hurts. Something's going to click inside of him because of the way his mindset is. The whole Joe Burrow comparison. Not that anybody's comparing, but like in that draft, he probably felt he has just as much talent. And those guys with those mindsets do some. I think Jalen throws for 300 yards today. I think the defense gives up some points, but I think they're going to get a turnover. I think Quinyon Mitchell gets his first interception of the game today, and that's going to be the key to the game. Eagles, plus 2.5 is our official pick. We're 3-3 on the year. I just think at some point it's going to happen, and this is everybody's saying, and they listen to it. You saw what happened in the Saints game, the way the defense played when they were angry, and everybody was bashing them. I really think, and you take that last drive of the Atlanta game out of it, the defense really has not played terrible this year. They really haven't, except maybe the Tampa Bay game. I'll give you that one. But other than the Tampa Bay game, they have not played bad. I think they're going to be pissed off because everybody's questioning how good they are because of playing the Giants and the Browns. This is their coming out party. They get to Joe Burrow. They get an interception, and I think that's the key to the game. Jalen throws for 300 yards. Eagles win outright, but we'll take them plus the 2.5 points. I also think everybody's picking this to go under. I'm not making this as our official pick. I like the over 47.5 in this game. I see it being a 27-24, 31-28, one of those type games. I think this game flies past 47.5 too if you want to put a little bit of extra juice on it. I like Jalen for an anytime touchdown. I also like Smitty for a touchdown today as well. But that's our official pick. Eagles plus the 2.5. I think they won it outright. I think the defense coming out party. Jalen Hurts finally has his game because the opportunities are going to be there. He just needs to take advantage of them. But let me know what you think. Am I drinking the Kelly Green Kool-Aid because I'm wearing my Kelly Green gear today? 267-495-8531. I guess that would be like Ecto Cooler, wouldn't it? There's a blast from the past for the old heads out there. But that's the Back to the Future voice and text line, 267-495-8531. Let me know who wins the game today. Break it down. What are your keys to the game? All of that. Let's go Birds. All right, sticking with the Eagles today. We are going to go back to 1968. And on this day in 1968, Eagles lost to the Steelers in a barn burner out at Pitt Stadium, 6-3. 3 field goals. That's it. These teams played and kicked 3 field goals. Now, they were terrible, terrible, terrible teams in 1968. But the reason I bring this up is this loss put the Eagles in the driver's seat for the first overall pick. They were 0-7 at this point. The Steelers were 1-6. And this year, because they knew the NFL and AFL were going to merge in a couple years, both leagues were in competition for that. So the Buffalo Bills were 1-6-1. Basically, the Eagles just didn't need to screw it up. They could even win one game. Steelers would end up win and tie in their next 2 weeks, kind of taking them out of it. The Bills wouldn't win again. The Atlanta Falcons came in there. They had 1 win. So basically, it was the Eagles' first pick to lose. And that year, it was O.J. Simpson. So quick lesson for the young guys out there. Before he was a scumbag of a human being, before he was an accused murderer, O.J. Simpson was a damn good football player. And really, he's a Hall of Famer and really would have fit nicely and helped turn this Eagles team around. Well, as we all know, the Eagles screwed up. They would go to 0-11 before not only did they blow the top pick by winning 2 games in a row, they blew the second pick as well. And if you remember, this team was terrible. Everybody was excited. The only thing to root for in the 1968 season was the Eagles to lose because of how bad they were. They were flying planes over the stadium with Fire, the coach. I forget the guy's name right now off the top of my head. I think it was Joe somebody, but Fire Joe or Joe must go. This was the Santa Claus year, and the Santa Claus year where they booed and threw snowballs at the guy, Franco Levy. is because they won 2 games. So think about that. Eagles fans, the whole throwing snowballs at Santa wasn't because they were losing. It was because they won. So they ended up screwing up having the 3rd pick that year. Obviously, we know OJ, he's in the Hall of Fame for his ridiculous NFL career. Falcons ended up with the 2nd pick. They took a 7-time Pro Bowl offensive tackle, George Coons. The Eagles at 3 took Leroy Keyes. And then, unfortunately, they passed on who the Steelers took at 4. Some guy named Joe Greene. You might have heard of him. He's pretty good. And I can't help but wonder if we go back to this day in 1968, if the Eagles would have kicked 2 more field goals or even scored a touchdown and beat the Steelers and got that the 4th pick, if the Steelers would have still taken Joe Greene or if they would have taken Leroy Keyes. And obviously, Leroy Keyes, you probably never heard of him because he was terrible in the NFL. All of that for the 1968 season. And you want to go and wonder, people ask why Philly fans are the way they are. It's because the Eagles had the number 1 pick locked up in 1968 and then blew it by winning 2 games. But on this day in 1968, there would be no win for the Eagles. They lost to the Steelers out in Pitt Stadium 6-3, setting themselves up perfectly for that number 1 pick. But then they blew it by winning 2 games. Brutal. Finally today, our 2024 Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame induction class spotlight is Brendan Hansen, swimmer. Brendan went to Haverford High, graduated from there before going to the University of Texas, where as a swimmer at the University of Texas, he was undefeated his entire 4 years in the breaststroke. By the time his career at Texas was over, 16-time All-American, 14-time NCAA champ. He was not done, though. He would go on to win 6 world championships, 25 different medals in international competition. He is an 11-time world record holder, a 6-time Olympic medalist, including 3 golds in the 4x100 medley relay. He's in the University of Texas Athletics Hall of Fame, the Texas Swimming and Diving Hall of Fame, the International Swimming Hall of Fame, and on November 7th, he will be inducted with the all-time greats into the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame. That is down at Live Casino. If you need information on that, everything you need is in the link in the description. But Brendan Hansen, I remember watching him for the Olympics. He was just outstanding. I think he won in 2008, 2012, and 2016. But 3 gold medals, 6 overall Olympic medals, 11-time world record, just absolutely outstanding. One of the greatest breaststrokers to ever hit the pool. Brendan Hansen from Haverford High School is today's 2024 Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame induction class spotlight. November 7th down at Live Casino. All the information you need is in the description. Coincidentally, I'll be heading down to Live Casino today. We're doing our final walkthrough, making sure everybody knows where they're going to be and helping to put this ceremony on and everybody have a good time. But again, everything you need is in the description. But shout out to Brendan Hansen, today's 2024 Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame induction spotlight. On this day back in 1968, Eagles lost to the Steelers 6-3. Seemingly putting them in the driver's seat for the number 1 pick, which would have been O.J. Simpson. They screwed it up, missed out on an offensive lineman who was a Pro Bowler, missed out on Mean Joe Greene, and took Leroy Keyes instead. And then you wonder why we throw snowballs at Santa and are the way we are. 3 keys to the Eagles game. Jalen Hurts, you need to step up and have a game. Fast start. Let's get it, even if it's 3 points. Let's score in the first quarter today. I might even bet that. Just the score in the first quarter. And then the defense, play within yourself. Pressure Burrow. He will turn the ball over, contrary to what a lot of people think. The pick today is we're going Eagles plus 2.5. I think they win it outright. And I think the time is now. And if they don't win this game, the season, I think we're in trouble this season. Also, contrary to what a lot of people have been talking about in the media and on the news and on the radio this week, this would not be an acceptable loss. Not even a close thing to be acceptable. So miss me with that. But Eagles plus 2.5 is our official pick. Let me know your thoughts and breakdown of the game. 267-495-8531. That's the Back to the Future voice and text line. Get it all out there. Let me know what you're thinking. Sixers, Indiana today. Flyers, Montreal tonight. It's a big day for Philly sports. If you time it out right, you can see the Eagles beat the Bengals. You can see the second half when the Pacers likely blow out the Sixers. And then hopefully the Flyers can keep that magic rolling and beat the Canadiens tonight. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for October 27th, 2024. My name is Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Sunday. And until next time, go Birds.